Hello and welcome to Naked with Dr. Money. I'm Dr. Stephanie Ardrey. I'm so happy that you're joining me for another episode of my weekly blog. This is where I discuss mindset, motivations, and manifestations with my guests. And it's really interesting because today, before today's show, I was able to catch a little bit of a show on Sirius around the mental well-being, and it's confirming and validating the importance of not only this type of conversation, because really mindset, how it is we consider our journey begins with the mindset. And the show that I was listening to, the episode was focusing on mental well-being in the context of aging. And what I loved is the guest was talking about the importance of reframing, if you will, how you see yourself along the journey. I know for me, I look at wellness and the idea that full life being 120 years and beyond. And so I see the journey as a journey filled with opportunity, continual learning, continual expansion, all of those things. And so it was really meaningful to hear that more and more conversations are happening from that context of full life being much longer and far richer than many of us maybe considered or have anticipated. Well, today, as I've continued these conversations around chapter 24, I'm having a guest who was a guest before return because we're talking about just some additional things that have evolved, and there's plenty of updates that he's experienced and sharing along his journey. Pascal Sharpe is coming to us today. I think last time he was a guest, he probably was in Jamaica at that time. He was between Haiti and Jamaica, but he's coming to us from Jamaica. And we're going to talk about not only the evolution of his organizations, but also some collaborations, kind of weaving in those collaborations that we're working on. But more importantly, the framework behind how the mindset and motivations are definitely contributing to the manifestations that we experience. So Pascal Sharpe is the CEO of Profincia and StreamerTel Ops. And I am going to bring him in to our conversation without any further ado. Hi,
Hello,
Pascal.
hello.
How you
Hi,
doing
good day.
today?
Hello, Dr. Ardrey. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, it's
Fabulous.
Wednesday.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Hello to my guests. Yeah, to your viewers at this point, yes.
It's amazing because, we end up having so many, I say, different experiences along the way, as well
Mhm.
as opportunities. And you and I are just making progress, right? And,
Mm.
what do you think when you think about, reflection on mindset and, considering where we've continued to manifest outcomes?
Well, it has been definitely last year was a discovery in that sense for me. You know, a change. It mostly happened towards the middle of the year. And the moment and I think that reinforced the fact that having the right mindset, the right environment as well does contribute to your progress. And that has been one of the most significant changes in my probably my that change in my perception. The more I was able to follow the guideline, execute in terms of changing my mindset and my environment, the better everything has been since as well too. The journey has just started, of course, but I like the momentum that I'm getting. I like the direction. I'm still proud of where I'm looking to be, and this is important for me as well.
It's interesting because I heard a couple things over the last few days, and I've been listening to a lot of different content. And so there's been many new conversations around the importance of, and especially I think it happens in the beginning of the year because people set, New Year's resolutions or set new intentions in order, to hopefully create some things that they want to manifest. But there was I guess it was a caption that I shared that said, your mindset is going to determine how you are motivated, but your discipline must be activated if you expect to manifest those outcomes.
True.
So
Correct.
have you experienced any things that you thought that, dang, I'm having to go back into just the muscle of discipline to continue to move forward with execution?
Definitely, because I think what that has been the area that has worked out for me. It's being able to wake up every day and still make sure that I do my morning meditation. I looked at or share some information that I hope would motivate some people. I have a circle, and I've sometimes I've let go of the working out in the morning, but the more I keep to that discipline, the more it's easier for me to be in that right state of mind. And my environment is just the result of that. Example, I get normally lunch from a lady every day, and this morning she called me, but normally if she calls, it's like she's probably not there, she might not be cooking and whatever. So when I see that, I was still stayed optimistic, but she was sick, she fell sick unfortunately. But after that, she's telling me that she's about to cook something as a compensation. But in fact, it was like something like that. I was like, yeah, like a kid. You understand? So these things are the things that I appreciate the most today out of my journey. At the moment, I make sure that I'm in the right place, mentally. So many things, man. I think that the most people have shared that. When you're looking at all those guys, some of these guys, at least those who share, yeah, the discipline part is very important because sometimes you won't have the desire, but if you fall for it, and that's very quickly you start rolling downhill, and that's discipline is what will hold it a little bit longer before it starts tumbling down.
It's so true because I find myself being, I think, a master of taking chaos and turning it into organization. But that is because when I say I have a particular methodology, but whenever I find that I'm in an environment where everything is kind of in disarray or I'm trying to reorganize and I have to pick, like, where am I going to begin? I was explaining this to my son, one of my sons, about why I require an order, right? In that we may have a project that we're working on over here, and so there's disarray, but that doesn't mean that we can have disarray all around us. So let's go find a space. If it's one room in the house that we can organize perfectly, let's start there.
Yes.
Because I need to see that order, and then we'll go to the next space, and then we'll go to the next space. But I find that when it is that I'm on a journey such as this, how I organize myself, taking care of me, meaning, okay, I've missed a bunch of days at the gym. I haven't been to the gym yet this year in the US because I was in Jamaica bringing in the year, and I did all of my, walking, my grounding, my, over 10,000 steps on the beach. But I'm back in the US and it's been cold in Las Vegas. So it's like, and I prefer to walk out. So I made myself get out and go walk last Saturday. I just put on a heavy coat, put on a big hat. And it was it made me feel so good. And so then I said to myself, you know what? You better get your butt to the gym. Discipline
True.
needs to kick in here because you haven't been feeling
Yeah.
motivated to go. So this is where that discipline kicks in. Just do it. Just go, set an appointment and get
Yes.
there every day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I know there's a lot of motivation, goals being set early in the year, and very quickly after 3, 4 weeks, you then get it started. You probably feel like, well, it's me. The new year was not something for me to set. I always have something to do. But my what I'm trying to say is that if now is the time for anybody, give yourself that one thing that you're making sure that you're sticking with, you're repeating, and that that you keep with that, you're gonna be a better person in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, thanks to keeping this.
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's really true because I think that establishing that thing that is your go-to,
Hmm.
is your safe space. Like I realized some of the things that helped me in different parts. I was struggling a little bit with sleeping because of course I've been stressing over a number of things. And so one of the things that I added back into my routine was to make sure that I take a bubble bath each night. That
Hmm.
is my safe kind of decompress place. I can do that. That's easy, but make sure that I do
Yes.
that. Make sure that I do
Hmm.
that, right? Getting out and getting re-engaged in some of the networks that I was a part of. I was telling a couple cousins, one cousin, hey, I have a new Glock. I've only shot it a few times. I want to go shooting. So we're going to get a shooting date on the calendar. I'm part of a golf club, a golf group that I'm like, okay, I have some clubs that I haven't a chance to use. Let me get active and start going at least to go hit some balls, go to the putting range or
Yeah.
something at bare minimum. But forcing myself
Mhm.
to find other ways to activate some of my interest, and one of those being I love reading and learning new things, and the fact that now that I'm out of law school I can get back on my reading schedule. Before
Mhm.
law school I think I probably read 2 books a week or something, 2 to 3 depending upon what the books were. So finding a
Mhm.
way to incorporate some of those other joys back into my life to create some type of balance and
Mhm.
continuity, and to feed the
Yeah.
motivations. What are some of yours?
Um, I think that the last year has had so much info for me, but I'm definitely looking to make sure that this year I want to get back into dog training. That
Ah,
was a very, yeah. I had a very good time back when I was in Haiti and doing competition too. Yeah, so that was a special time. That was a time where I was really those were the good days. But I aside from that, working out is what is one of the things for me, that I have been able to keep at the very least, and that's what allows me to, because what happens is that I've boiled it out in my head, like it's like 45 minutes, and after that I feel so great for the rest of the day. You know, like it's probably fighting with it for 30 minutes, but I know if I just do this for 45 minutes, the reward, the satisfaction from it, and yeah, that's definitely something that I'm also looking to expand further.
it's so funny. It's 2 things. One, training dogs, man, that requires such
Mm,
discipline and continuity. Talk about having to maintain a
mhm.
schedule, because it
Yeah.
takes patience upon patience to train dogs.
Oh yes.
That's a
Yes.
whole discipline in and of itself. But getting back to the gym as well, because I when you said that, what I think of how I convince myself is that I
Mhm.
noticed that getting to the gym can be a challenge. but I never feel bad when I'm leaving the gym. So
Yes.
how I trick myself is I focus on
Yeah.
the feeling I will have leaving the gym rather than
Yes.
to do to get there, right? It's like, well, you're going to feel
Exactly.
so awesome
Exactly.
when you're leaving the gym. So just focus on
Yes.
that and that'll
Yes.
get you there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And
That's.
so, Pascal, we have so much going on, with the global, with our
Mhm.
work with farmers and all of those things. I mean, last year, when we were thinking
Mhm.
about and making plans, I mean, look at where we are as it relates to manifestation of some of these things that we
Yes.
put in place that seemed
Yes,
like, okay,
indeed.
this is a piece here, this is a piece there. And even though,
Mhm.
these two pieces, there's dots that still need to be connected, the discipline to
Yeah.
keep moving forward. I mean, how do you feel
Right.
right now with some of the early things that are
So
beginning to manifest?
that's the next thing. That's the next thing. After the discipline, it's faith. It's faith. Trust the process. Trust that as long as you keep progressing, um, it's you have to lead to a place. How fast, depending on your capacity to absorb, depending on each person, or time. I like to say time only exists in the physical world. So in terms of manifestation and all that stuff, you have to really believe that you're going there. We were at the same time, you and I were probably both, and there's many like us that often feel like never satisfied. You're always looking at more and more and what's next, and I'm like that. But this is when I do take the time to look back. I'm I'm probably what don't want to when I'm not at the same place,
Right.
and that's where it's about for me too. It's making sure that I keep going, and we've gone we've been wow. I know last year around that time, I was planning to come see you in California. We were supposed to go on some business thing. And when I came back to Jamaica, I looked at the amount of hours that Google had mentioned that we had spent on the road. You know, I'm like, wow, I think that probably was the total amount of hours I probably drove the year before. So oh wow. So
It's amazing
you had
because, a lot of times um, folks don't understand. There was a saying that my friends used to often say, it's amazing that, you sort of behave, you look like a swan, you seem so graceful, but underwater, your feet are
mm-hmm.
kicking like hell, and that's kind
I'm
of
telling you.
the truth of the journey is that,
You know?
to folks on the outside, it may appear
Yes.
one way, but for you that's in the trenches doing the work, it's
Yes.
definitely a different reality. I was explaining that to someone who was saying, well, you know, I think you might need this. I think you might need that. I'm like, well, we've been working on some of these things, for two
Mm-hmm.
years. We've been investing, putting in the time. And a lot of time
Yeah.
along those early commitments, many people fall off. They can't
Mm-hmm.
stay along the journey. They don't understand what the founder's journey looks like. That
Yep.
process
Yep.
of
Yep.
creating from scratch and,
Yep.
attempting to share at what points, because again, it's sort
Having
of like when
faith.
yeah, well, it's even when you I think about this in the context of real estate development, for example, a lot of people cannot envision what the finished product or project would look like visually if you didn't provide them with some
Mm-hmm.
visual cues to begin with
Correct.
along, and as
Mm-hmm.
you're gaining new information, the modifications that you're making. But you're right, this whole process, this whole journey,
Yeah.
now we're getting to see some of those outcomes, and I'm totally excited. I know
Yeah.
you are.
I'm just like I'm just like I've had that habit of because while we're talking like that, yes, there's being in the right environment. Yes, there's the discipline. Yes, there's faith, but hard work is what sets everything, the discipline and the hard work together is because while I'm here, I've been up at 3 making sure that ads are running to test something, and I've been on 5 hours sleep for the last few months, but it's rewarding, and I'm seeing the result, and that's what's important. It's not like I'm taking it easy, I'm out partying. No, there's not that. There's a lot of time and energy put into making work some stuff happen, making sure you keep the following up with people and you stick to your word too. You don't just say things and you expect them to happen too. You have your part of the thing to complete, um and this is something that people need to remember. There's the hard work as well, because that's what needs to set you apart from the others. How you want to really differentiate for yourself in whatever sector, the discipline or whatever you're doing, if you don't put in more hours or more energy than somebody else to be able to. That's where it is at that point.
Oh, it's so true. I always say to not only, clients, but also to my team, where we are versus where it is that we want to end up, the gap in the middle is what we are filling in order to get to that end game. And sometimes the gap in the middle requires a bunch of things. It requires updating the direction, meaning the tool that you're using, your approach. Sometimes you have to pivot because you learned lessons that said, and more importantly, recognizing that just like in life, you can't eat an elephant with one big gulp. You eat an elephant a piece at a time. And so if you started one end of that elephant, each part is going to be a little bit different and require a different approach. And so, I've heard people say, what got you here will not get you there, because getting from here to there requires some modifications. You're not going to just have one set of skills. You're not going to just have one particular, mindset. Maybe you do in terms of your discipline, what motivates you around your beliefs, what I like to say, your rudder, what things you will not compromise. You have some things that you're like, no, these things are the core in terms of who I am and in terms of the culture I'm creating with my organization. But also I'm open to learning along the way and, evolving as I gain new insight along that journey.
Definitely.
And so, when I think about some of the new relationships and some of the expansion, some of the activations, I'm just, excited about what's next.
Yes. Well, me too. I've, as you like to say, my focus is where I'm heading. Probably not. You said don't focus on the how. Sometimes you like to remind me, don't focus on the how. I know.
And what does that
where
mean
we're
to you when I say that? What does that mean to you when I say that? Don't focus on the how, because what does that do oftentimes?
I think it's a reminder of those lessons, because I think that in school I had a female principal who taught us something, and she said, this is the difference between boys and girls, or male and female at the time. Okay, I was in high school, and she was like, guys tend to have plans. Okay, so it's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not jumping to step 3 if we have done step 2 or something like that. But she said women have goals. They know, like, they need to reach at step 10 whether they have to just jump on this at some point, they will get there, you know? And this is a reinforcement of that same lesson that we were being taught at that time, you know? Sometimes you have to stick with the plan. You do need to have a plan or stick with a plan sometimes. But sometimes you have to be flexible and fluid. But as long as you keep your eyes on the prize, you know, whatever is necessary in the middle is easier to figure out if you need to stick with the plan or if this is a place where you need to be flexible and pivot or adapt, you know. So the fact, by not reminding me that I should not be focusing on the how often, it's a reminder that I need to be fluid to what the Almighty might be presenting my way, you know? And that by being too caught up and focused on I need to have this and that in order to get there, I might miss out on opportunity to get to in step 4 or 5. You never know, closer to the prize, you know. So that's what it is.
Well, it kind of makes me think of years ago, I read this book called The Power of Now, and it was so beneficial because what really emerged from that book was the focus of you don't have yesterday, you don't have tomorrow. All you have is right now.
Yeah.
So if you focus on what is my assignment right now, meaning what is my assignment today? So if I set my intention today regarding, I've already said where it is I'm heading, but that's also why it's so important to not only write down your goals, but also I believe in creating vision boards and all of those things as well, so that you remember the destination. You have a clear visual of where it is you're heading. But then now when you go back to where you are at that point along the journey, you can only activate what you can at that particular time. And so sometimes I think when we get caught up in the how, it causes us to shift to focusing on what we're missing rather than focusing on what we have. And by going back to, the power of now, I have to trust that I have everything that I need for right now. If I do what I'm supposed to do right now with what I have, then when I get to the next step where I need something else, it'll be provided. Like I had to really say that, being on the capital journey, you've been raising capital for your ventures. I've been raising capital for my venture. And the capital journey is a journey that every CEO, when you undertake that journey, it's not going to be an ending journey. It's going to be a never ending journey in the sense that if you are growing and scaling your organization, you're going to continue to need to capitalize it at different phases, right? And how you capitalize it when it's a early stage venture is going to be different than how you capitalize it as the company gains traction and all of these other experiences along, its way along the way, in executing the business. So thinking about the how kind of takes you out of what you have right now. So that's why I say, what do I have right now? I have to trust that whatever I need tomorrow will be there when I need it. And that's where that kind of faith and belief, that's the mindset. That's the difference between is the glass half empty or is the glass half full?
Definitely. I agree. It definitely changes. The change of focus is what's gonna really get you to where you need to be at that point.
Yeah.
Not focus on the things that you don't have. Appreciate the moment, Yeah.
And that's why I think you're so empowered if you can set an intention, establish that mindset. That's why mindset is the beginning of it all. It really is what contributes to whatever you manifest, whether that be disease or other experiences along your journey. Believe it or not, it kind of starts in your mind. So I think whether it is you are aware of what your mind is doing, both your conscious awareness as well as your subconscious behavior or thoughts that are happening. You know, how do
Mm-hmm.
you see yourself in the journey? One of the shows that I was listening to earlier, again, around mental health, was talking about, you know, there is this culture, definitely in America and probably worldwide, around aging, where
Mm-hmm.
this focus on being young, being young, being young. Well, you're only going to be young for a certain portion of your journey if it is that you're using age to sort of define what is young. How about you extend that? If being
Mm-hmm.
young and youthful at 120, you know, what would that feel like? What would that look like? If you believe that that's possible, you know, that's kind of the intention that I've opted to say, that
Mm-hmm.
every day that I have, because someone had posted like on their Facebook yesterday about having a birthday come up. And it was kind of
Yeah.
like, you know, oh, this is another birthday, which it was kind of like a little bit of a doom and gloom. And I said, well, that's one perspective. You know, another
Mm-hmm.
perspective is that you've been blessed with another day, which means you have another opportunity to contribute. And I choose to
Yeah.
look at it from that perspective. Every day that I'm given is an opportunity to contribute. So how about I embrace the day, right? And think about how I
Mm-hmm.
can best be of contribution, you know, along this journey, and what then is required of my mindset in order to
Mm-hmm.
deliver the motivations to support it, and then see the manifestations, the outcomes.
Yes.
So what's coming up? What should we expect over the next couple of, you know, I've been calling this chapter 24 for me. So what do you see as some of the highlights along chapter 24? What's happening with the business and your rollout plans?
Um, well, it's big things, as they like to say here in Jamaica. Because I've believe that we've been setting up the foundation for where we want to be, you know. Definitely, as you know, we made sure to launch some of our marketing initiatives. Um, so we've been studying a little bit, doing our homework. So January was that for me. So definitely this year we're looking at reaching out. You know, I want to first appear, provide, give. I want to first give, and before asking for anything. So that's the what I'm building right now. But eventually, we want to be a reference, a resource here in Jamaica and elsewhere. So we're looking at making some significant acquisition or mergers or entering some different market once we learn some important things in the Jamaican market first, you know, capitalizing from the different technologies that we think would be interesting. I strongly believe that the maintenance, repair, and operations industries are very, it's a growing industry, and I want to see, just like Cuba at some point was a reference in the medical sector, for many countries. China today, you're building bridges and roads as a country in Africa or third world country, you cannot not call these people. I think that this is a sector that the Caribbean countries can really benefit from, you know. As I like to say, no matter what movie in the future or science fiction movie that you're watching, there's always a mechanic someplace that needs to do something. You know, there's always a need for a technician to fix, but where I've heard it in many areas, there's a war for skill happening right now, and I want to make sure that Caribbean technicians and skills here can benefit from that as well.
Oh, that's so excellent. Well, then that means that we must plan a few more check-ins along this chapter 24 evolution. I can't wait to check in again. I know we have some collaborations in the works,
Yes.
and we'll be making some announcements around those collaborations very soon. Very excited about those things. Um, anything else? Anything else on the horizon?
Um, I guess we'll need to have um, another meeting again like this. But I know we have certain interesting things coming and revealing soon. You and I know. So I guess for I leave that for you to announce to the public when it comes.
All right,
To
all
your
right. That's
audience.
fair. That's fair. That's fair. Well, I want to thank you again for being my guest. How can someone find out about your company if they'd like to follow the company or find out more about you?
Right now, I think you should look out for us with what's happening at smartmaintenancesolutions.com. That's really where the place to be right now at this point for me.
Smart Maintenance Solutions.
Solutions.com. Yeah.
All right,
So
fantastic. You guys,
especially if you're in Jamaica, that's for you. It starts for with you.
smartmaintenancesolutions.com. All right. Well,
Yes.
everyone, if you're interested in learning more about what's happening, one of the
Mhm.
rollouts is smartmaintenancesolutions.com. And we're going to have Pascal back again to check in and see what else evolves over the next few
Yes,
months.
yes, yes. Because we have a few things for the farming equipment owners, and so we're gonna roll out one step at a time.
Excellent, excellent. Well, again, thank you so much for joining and being the guest and, sharing some updates on some of the things that are and continue to manifest. Again, as we continue
Yes.
this journey, doing that mind, body, and soul work.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Uh,
For me, it was an interesting time again. So I'm looking forward to the next invite again.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.
You take care. Bye.
So, thank you again for joining me for another episode of Naked with Dr. Money. Remember, if it's Wednesday, noon Pacific, I'm here, Naked with Dr. Money with Dr. Stephanie Ardrey. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day as well as rest of your week. And remember, be good to you. All right, I'll see you next time.